Well, looks like StephBot decided to go after again on a review of another Zeitgeist video after the whole thing, with regard to the whole price system being bad and so on. And of course, all the Venus Project people and even Peter Joseph himself came out and acted like the dumbasses that they were, and not quite understanding the problem, the price system showing their entire economic illiteracy. It's not surprising, really. The price system is something that is not taught, I guess, anymore in public school. Maybe it was taught in my school. It wasn't a magnet school. I have no clue. But let us go over the price system again, because I don't know how many videos I've done like this, but I might as well do it again because I'm just bored. Let's look at the three basic components of a price system. Number one, you have consumer demand. Number two, you have, of course, production that's supposed to fulfill that demand. And number three, all of this is happening in time. Now, there's a lot of detail involved in this because it's one of those things that, people don't grasp. Number one, consumer demand is not monolithic. There are individuals out there. They have a set of wants. Some of them are economical, some are not. Those that are economical, people order. For example, I want a hamburger for lunch. I'm willing to pay X amount for it. Or I want so many of these hamburgers and I want them in a certain configuration at a certain time for lunch today. So maybe my lunch is at 2 p.m. Not likely, but say it is. Or I want it tomorrow at 11 a.m. instead. I'm going to have an early lunch and so forth. All these differences are important because they allow us to figure out what is the average demand of quantity demanded of a good and in what configurations. And then we can aggregate and produce based on these averages. But that's what's interesting here, because although we're making averages, we're still trying to capture that which is rarefied within the individual demand schedules of individual consumers that make up the total concept of quantity demanded in a market. Okay, so the supply is not homogeneous. It is in itself heterogenic, and thusly the production processes are heterogenic. And thusly, we are looking at two sides of the same coin, essentially, of push and pull. The pull is people want certain goods in a certain configuration at a certain time, certain quantities. On the push side, we got people who want to push out a certain supply for a certain price and in certain configurations which they see as economical. And thus, this push and pull gives us our average price for any set of average goods. Easy? Okay, I think we all grasp this. Now let's look at the whole Zeitgeist and Venus Project bullshit and why it makes me mad. They want to use computers in place of this. So there's no price system, there's just robots, distributed data networks, sensor nets, PDAs, which people can type in to say they want this or that. So you got this super duper highly integrated internet of internets that ties all this information together. And now you have a set of processes, computer processes, that have to figure out how to schedule and organize all this. What's interesting here is that it is equivalent to the price system. All they did was shift the same concept of production into a weird monolithic area where they think they can have it, and then they have consumers on the outside still doing exactly the same thing as they would in a market economy, which is randomly demand goods within heterogenic quantities and heterogenic time frames and heterogenic configurations that has to be averaged out. And therefore, we still have the same problem of decidability. Now, the production side of things cannot be merely decided by a bunch of technocrats. I'm sorry, unless you have a human being there who has a stake in the game, meaning that they have their own wants that they want to fulfill, then there's no interest in this person actually fulfilling the set of wants given to him through the aggregate demands of this data network. Right? And there's no way for the computer to supplant the humans that would manage this system. It has to become some sort of cyber god and decide which products should be produced and which products shouldn't be produced. In fact, the entire problem is not what we call Turing decidable. That is to mean that there is no finite set of deterministic states which we can go and hop through and get to a halting state from which then we can fulfill all the scheduling demands of all the consumers out there and simulate this perfectly within a computer. If it were, we would have already done it. And I hate to tell Peter Joseph, but that's the facts. If he doesn't believe me, look at any study of decidability and recognizability of languages and of computer systems like this, of distributed data networks. They all have the same problem, especially when we're looking at routing. So who makes the decisions then in the price system? Because clearly the price system is not decidable either. Well, the consumers and producers make the decisions. They are the parts that make the decidability, the halting statement possible for goods and services within this wonderful price mechanism, this price system. They are the glue, and their inputs are separate. Their unique definitions and attributes cannot be implanted or supplanted within a kind of weird abstracted definition in the computer system. I can't write a program that defines consumer demand sufficiently. I cannot create a program that simulates producer wants or producers' abilities to organize and schedule things sufficiently. These things are external to the price system. And this is what is wonderful about the price system, because it decouples one set of wants and concerns from that of another. Just because one person wants, say, a strawberry ice cream milkshake doesn't mean another person could use the same strawberry ice cream to make an ice cream birthday cake. All the ice cream maker worries about is making sufficient ice cream of the quantity and quality that people want it. That's the wonderful part of the price system. It decouples production from consumption and individual consumptions from each other and individual productions from each other. They allow also through time for us to order all productions and consumptions in such a chain from which we can maximize what Mises called in Human Action our psychic profit. Wow, psychic profit, our sense of satisfaction. This is not really hard, folks. Maybe it's because I'm a computer scientist here. I got my BACS over here and I'm working on my MSCS now that I actually grasp this. So anyways, long story short is, if Peter Joseph wants to ever answer that point, he's going to have to get me a proof, and I mean a mathematical proof, that the price system can be supplanted with this system in a sufficiently good way that is superior. Literally, that even this system can predict the demand schedules of individual consumers. I really want to see it, because if that's the case, then I'm sold. But if he can't show me how to do that, and by the way, that is my interest. I love AI theory and computation, computer science. I got a degree in it. Then I'm sold. Otherwise, if he doesn't have proof, he doesn't have a mathematical proof, he can go quite literally fuck himself sideways. I'm sorry if I decide to make this very vulgar and ad hom, but I'm tired of the ignorance of people who don't grasp the most basic components of how a fucking computer even works. They think it's a magic fucking box. You TZM people, I want to fucking just like cold cock you and skull fuck your asses. I don't think you skull fucking ass, but I really do want to fucking just pimp smack you. You guys are fucking morons. Study how computers actually work. Understand computation. You make baby Alan Turing cry. Okay? That's very bad. Okay? He's going to suddenly turn into Green Hulk or Gray Hulk Alan Turing and kick your ass. Just after he creates the super or hyper Turing computer as well. So, that's just that, folks.